kindly take me. I will be here for 4 years, more than years. So I was here during college in Ireland, and I was one of the first board members after COVID that came in, and I was also the treasurer throughout the entire period of everything that happened, the good, the bad, it was me. Um, I don't know exactly how to, it's just to say thank you. Thank you to SCP as a corporation as existing, and also the lessons I've learned, the late nights, the confusions, the annoyance, the frustration. Thank you for everything. But also the good parts and that came with SCP. It's a good organization. You put exactly, it's an organization where you what you put is what you get. If you don't want to do anything, you don't get anything back. But you put in the work, you get what you expect from it. That's one of the things that I like about XP. Also, it's very rewarding, not in terms of monetary reward, but everything else. But it's also a place where you learn life lessons and stuff like that. I don't know what else to say that they understand, except for right now, thank you. But apart from that, SCD is a great place to be. It is also a place to build your community. I'm not necessarily a social person, but I've made friends a year, like one of my people, with Brian Miller's called. It's long lasting, and hopefully that translates to so many things. We have fought with each other. We have fought so much that most people, when they see us fight or when they see us discuss each other, they think we're always fighting. Nikita is new to that, so anytime me and Frank go on our friendship talks, anyone that's outside of that just thinks we're we hate each other, but it's just Frank is annoying. But and that's just the way it is. It's also where you find your community, where you find the people, and hopefully you find the right people to do the right things to make sure the OSG grows. We've had to like build SG from the bottom all the way to the top, hopefully, and hopefully we can see what we've always spoken about, which is transferring knowledge, understanding the recipe to the next e-board members. So that's all I have to say. Thank you guys.
We're gonna approve some of these real quick. Can I get a motion to approve Professor Marcot's what was able to make it tonight? Are you to approve by Representative Gregorio, seconded by Representative Chastain? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Speaker Sullivan, Dr. Marcotte wanted me to actually say something about that. Do you want me to say it later during my remarks, or is it okay if I say
Is
it?
it about relief?
What?
Is it about relief?
Yeah.
He didn't say no.
Okay, so Dr. Marcotte wanted me to let everyone know that she feels sad that the last couple of meetings that she's not been able to make, and the reason is that she is early in her pregnancy and is not feeling well, but she wanted members of SCG to know that, and to tell you all that her expectation is that when she comes back in the fall, she will feel a lot better and be able to be fully present as a faculty rep the way that we both want to be helpful to you all. So Dr. Marcotte wanted me to tell that to you. That's great.
Thank you. Okay. Can I also get a motion to approve Representative Rowe's absence? Who's out at a conference out of state? Can I motion to approve? First Representative Cottrell, seconded by Representative Logan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, next. My only announcement is that I just wanted to thank Matt and Rafael. When I was walking down here, I was talking to Dante and I said, I've been in Wixom forever, and I would say they've always been SCG. I cannot imagine SCG without these three. And it feels very odd that they'll be gone, but I think they're going to do such amazing things. And I love becoming your guys' friends and learning about your lives and just letting me just talk during my office hours. So thank you so much for your time. And, So it's nice to meet you guys too. I move the floor to Deputy Supervisor Pires.
I can't talk for long, so I'm getting emotional, so I'm just gonna appreciate them. I yield the floor.
Okay, we'll now move on to reports. I yield the floor to Treasurer Obabi to review the Finance Commission meeting minutes from the 9th and the 23rd.
So I'm always going to use this, so I'm going to use this tonight. So, we look through the Finance Commission meeting minutes from April 9th.
I messed up. I have the old agenda. So we're gonna move to constitutions first. I don't know if everybody, I had the old agenda where it had, where it didn't have the constitution, this one does. So we're gonna move to constitutions, so sorry, Katya. So like, now we're moving on to constitution and organization reports. There's gonna be incorrect, am I saying that right? Revised and name change for the constitution. So I yield the floor to Secretary Combs.
Yeah, so we have Ava here from, their previous name would be the Anchorheads, but they want to change their name to the Anchorettes. I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I went into like talking about the cheer club, thinking like the name Anchorettes, and then I heard there was a competition with Anchorheads. I thought it would be perfect to open that one, but I really liked the name, so that was kind of why I wanted to change it.
Any questions?
In your constitution, I think it said like, you guys provide spirit at events. What does that mean?
Well, that one I didn't necessarily make, but we plan on doing some cheers at events, and maybe coming up with like a little routine and doing it at events as well.
So it's like cheerleading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very new club that's just opened. We're just looking at the name change.
Can I get a motion to approve the amended name? First by Representative Kim, seconded by Representative Logan. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Right, we'll move on to Inkwell's. Inkwell's revised constitution?
The revisions that we have made to our constitution, we've added 3 new keyboard rules, which we need to add to our constitution, doing now, but we have already kind of put them into place within our practicing it. So our 3 new roles are Ghost Letters Manager, Content Creator, and Social Media Manager. Content Creator, Social Media Manager are kind of just a split up of just the regular social media role, which is in a lot of boards. We did that just so in case of workload that it's better to have a team of 2 than 1. So that's essentially what that is. Content creator, they gather a bunch of footage and videos and they make it into a post onto our social media. Social media manager, what they do is just they manage all of the reposting of things and replies and people reaching out to us and making sure that content is across all platforms the same. The Ghost Letters Manager, we have a program called Ghost Letters that Inkwell hosts, and the Ghost Letters Manager essentially just keeps track of all of our ghosts, the pickup and drop-off times, organizing, sending out reminders to our ghosts, and organizing the strikes and the excused absences and communicating that between the ghosts. Those are our 3 roles that we're adding.
Are there any questions? Can I get a motion to approve and close amended agenda? First by Representative Tomei, seconded by Representative Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alright, pass. We'll now move on to Rick as well.
Alright, so we have a representative here from Rick as well, so if you want to explain.
Sure, yeah, so my name is Callan Hines. I am a grad student in the Clinical Mental Health Counseling Program. Rick as well is a new student club that is dedicated to weaving mental health and well-being into everyday life at Rick. Most of us who formed it are grad students in the Clinical Mental Health Counseling Program, but it's not exclusive to or any major. So everyone is welcome to join, undergrad, graduate, no matter what your major is. And also our events and programs are targeted at the entire community, so that includes faculty and staff as well as students. So to be a little more specific, we're thinking about doing some holistic, person-centered activities like mindfulness walks, gardening, crafting workshops, speaker events, book and film clubs, pop-ups during finals week when people are stressed out and just need to decompress for a little while, and things like that. So our goal is to not replace any club or any existing staff office or any other entity that currently exists at RIC. It's more to augment and to sort of like bring those folks together so that we can all sort of participate in the mission of mental wellness on this campus together. So we've identified some like-minded organizations that already exist, like Recovery and the Safe Connections group. We would say those clubs have similar goals to ours and that we certainly want to partner with them. I think the way that we sort of differentiate ourselves from them is that this is a much more holistic and sort of campus-wide target for who is involved, and the types of programming we're doing doesn't have a specific theme to it necessarily aside from mental wellness. So that's my spiel. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the constitution of the club.
Any questions?
So, there's a club called Active Mind, and it seems like it is exactly what you just described, what Rico is. I mean, it hasn't existed for a while, but there's a club called Active Mind.
Yeah, we're aware of Active Minds. So far as anyone can tell, it is not active at RIC and hasn't been for some time. It is also targeted exclusively at undergraduate mental health. So it would not be the same, even if they were still around. We have a slightly different mission in that we're inclusive of everyone.
So I think it's terrific, and I'm a professor and believe that our students need lots of support services. Every young person in 2025 needs more additional support services. But I am concerned about the amount of other people and both staff at RIC and also clubs that are doing pieces of it. So not to say that there's not value add, but it means coordinating with the Unity Center, coordinating with student success, coordinating with, and so I think so my question is how to actually do that in a way that is unique contributions that the students are going to be providing, instead of it being really frustrating about how you're having to go in between all of these different pre-existing services. And so I'm putting it out there.
Yeah.
And I also question about, also how it relates to Learning for Life and the fact that clinical mental health counselors serve, actually, some of them serve in the Learning for Life program. So, or they did 2 years ago when I came. So anyways, it's just something that I think should be thought about.
Yeah, believe me when I say we absolutely are thinking about it. I should also disclose too that I work in the School of Business as an academic coach, and I also have about 15 years working in higher ed before I changed careers.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty good at the sort of cross-departmental wrangling.
Yeah.
I think also too that we already are engaging with these other entities. We're not an official club yet, but one of the first things we did was immediately partner with Learning for Life and identified a need that they have, which is that they don't have a lot of resources for actually doing programming. Mm-hmm. So yes, there are lots of clinical mental health counseling students who work in Learning for Life, but the time that they spend doing that is doing clinical hours. Well, it's not clinical hours, but they do face time with students. They only have 2 full-time staff members who work in that department. And so the assistant director of Learning for Life and my group work together to sort of help her offload some of the burden of trying to do external engagement and programming through the types of things that we're looking to do through this club. So I think that we've already identified a way in which we don't step on the toes of an existing organization, and can sort of augment what they're offering through volunteer service from counseling students, because we're not looking to do counseling as a part of this club. That would not be ethically appropriate for lots of different reasons. But what we are thinking, and I can see this in my work in the school of business as well, is that there is a very on many college campuses, there's a very siloed conversation about mental health and wellness.
Absolutely.
And we're looking to try to de-silo it and get more people talking about it and see how their particular academic goals, their major, their interest, their job relates to the stuff that we're doing in a way that's much more sort of universal than just like us over in the Horace Mann building doing counseling stuff.
Yeah, I will just really say, like, I just think it's something that needs a lot of intention around, and also about the Unity Center and the role of the Unity Center and its relationship between diversity and how diversity on our campus is related to mental wellness.
And we also have members of the club who work for Learning for Life, who work for the Unity Center, because there are so many people in counseling who are counseling majors who work in those centers. So we have direct connections to a lot of those entities already. And we have also certainly not figured it all out because I'm here today doing this.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing a lot of, sort of imagining and co-designing and seeing what works and what doesn't at this point.
Okay, and then I'm going to let Cindy talk. But here's as a prof, my question is, why should we have a student group fill in the gaps of the needs of what our student body requires? And I know Cindy's going to in part address this. So it's not that I don't think that it's needed, but I do want us to think about why we're putting resources from student community government for a student group to be doing this work, that maybe what we should be saying to the administration is that we need to put more resources in this to serve the student body. And it's just something that we really should be thinking about. So.
Just wanted to share that a lot of the input and discussion on this group came from the Curric Council's Committee on Student Life Focus Group, and a faculty member outreach and met with the Director of Counseling, Ted, and myself, and really looked at this, because the number one issue right now in mental health is that peers are the first to connect with their students. So peers working their front line really helps get students to utilize professional services even more. So we were looking to try to get Active Minds or a group or organization off the ground with no student interest. And we found in the focus group this wonderful group of students who was already working with a faculty member to try to get something off the ground. So we quickly, as a division, partnered, because first people students go to, not just at Rec, but at any college campus, is their peers. And their peers can have such a great impact, and peers can help take the stigma out of using our services. So I just wanted to address, this group has worked since the beginning with their faculty member, with their director of counseling, with the staff members, etc. And we had been trying as a college to get a student group off the ground. So I wanted to say kudos, because they've done everything from the beginning before even coming to you.
I also think that it's a very good idea to have like a student group that's working with the people that already do this stuff. How do you plan on receiving student input before and after events to see like how things can be improved or made even less stressful?
Do you mean in terms of what we're offering for programming, or do you mean in like a mental wellness type of resource sharing way?
Both.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a great question, and we like I said a moment ago, like I very much, I spent most of my career doing user-centered design, and that's very much how I sort of like approached my work as a counselor and as an academic coach, and sort of like very much driving my responses based on the feedback and input I get from other people, not my own assumptions. So I've not spent a lot of time with the broader student body at RIC, because I specifically worked with the School of Business, and even then I'm only seeing a small subset of people. So long way of saying, like, I kind of need we all need to be out there and be doing this work to really have like a concrete answer to that. But I can say that we all have a commitment to this being not our project, that we're doing our way and our way only. We really want this to be informed by the community. This is an ethic of what professional counselors do. Our work is centered around the people we help. It's not centered around us. So I can't give you like a detailed answer other than that we want to be receptive to that feedback all of the time.
Thank you, that is a good answer.
Thanks.
I just want to add in, like, ever since I came in contact with you, you've been organized very much from the start. They reached out to me, like, telling me what they wanted to do, and they took that time. They took a little bit of time to draft out exactly what they wanted, every single detail. So I'm really happy that this is here today.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to approve the result? First by Representative Foyo, seconded by Representative Gregorio. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, pass.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna leave now.
Okay,
It's
now,
dinner time. Thank you so much for having me.
alright, now we move on to reports. That was my bad. Now I go before the Treasurer Bobby for the finance meetings from April 9th and the 22nd.
Okay. Look through the meeting minutes from April 9th. Any questions, discussions? Questions? Discussions, questions, concerns? Can I get a motion to approve the Finance Commission meeting minutes from April 9th, 2025? First by Jack Doyle, second by Sonia. Titian, all in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? It's passed. The next one is April 23rd, which is the last meeting of the Finance Commission, and also, as of today, the Finance Commission of 2025 has been dissolved. Until next year. Until next school year. I didn't cancel my It just meant to say like every committee as of today has dissolved except for SOC because they have histories. Any questions of the last meeting of Finance Commission? Concerns? So I'd like to make an amendment to April 23rd meeting minutes. Lizzie Foudreau was present at that meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the amendment? First by Tess. Second by Dante. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? And I get a motion to approve the amended meeting minutes of April 23rd, 2025. First by Alex. Second, second by Lucas. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Been approved. I yield my shield back to Speaker Sullivan.
Thank you. I will yield the gavel to Vice President Costello as we'll be going over the Public Relations Committee meeting minutes from October 1st through the 28th.
Hello, everybody. I must unfortunately preface with the fact that, yes, these are all minutes for public relations for the whole year. And it's not an excuse, just an explanation. We did have some turnover before we landed our amazing Alex Kong as the Public Relations Director. Again, just an explanation, not an excuse. It really falls onto me, I'm sorry. I slipped up with the minutes, so I just want to be honest about that. But since we have them all in front of you now, better late than never, I guess. If you guys want to just take a look through each one, and Speaker Sullivan, if you would think it's best, we could do motions for each individually or all.
Would everybody kill me if I said individually? 'Cause
I will say that, PR minutes are quicker, they're pretty short, so, yeah, we can go through them pretty quickly. I would just say that,
it'll be better.
what?
It'll be more thorough if you like do it individually.
Yeah, sure.
Great
yeah.
job.
Yeah, sorry, don't shoot the messenger test, like, you know, it's my fault. So, PR this year, we were very small,
but I thought it was
unfortunately,
also
we did not have a lot of members, so we did the best we could, but most of our energy was focused towards creating content for the social media, and then most recently, into the food drive. So, yeah, so I'm gonna be quiet now so you can actually read them, and if you have any questions, please let me know, and then once Speaker Sullivan's ready, you guys can make the motion, but, again, sorry, but thank you.
Am I following the motions?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, look at October 1st. Since it's been looked over, can I get a motion to approve the October 1st public relations minutes? First by Treasurer Bobby, seconded by Representative Trail. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passed. All right, October 15th. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes from October 15th? First by Secretary Colonis. Seconded by Representative Tay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passed. October 29th. I have a question. At the bottom of the second page, everybody else has Mr. Connor, Mr. Costello, Jack Doyle, it's just Jack Doyle. Is there a reason for that?
No, Jack, would you like that changed?
I'm not like mad about it.
You have a preferred?
I make a motion to change it, Mr.
Is that, you make,
I feel special now.
okay. President Jakes has made the motion to change it to Mr. Doyle. Doesn't have to be first, second, first by Representative Weber. Seconded by Representative Sam. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? March 7th meeting minutes. First by Representative Doyle, seconded by Representative Jackman. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passed. No, we're not. March 28th meeting minutes.
All right, so on the agenda, I'm going to, the approval of minutes, March 7th, March 7th.
Wait, what happened?
So, March 28th minutes, in the agenda section, approval of minutes.
It should say 2025 after March 7th. Okay. So, we all see that agenda, it says approval of the minutes, March 7th, it should be March 7th, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve that amendment? First by Representative Colony, seconded by Representative Colonis. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passed. Any other amendments? Can I get a motion to approve the March 28th meeting minutes? First by Representative Doyle. Representative Chan, do you have an amendment?
Yeah, so, on the under chair announcements, on March 28th, paragraph just says I. It's like I don't think it's supposed to work that way.
We can make it,
Oh,
we can make
okay.
third person pronouns or
Okay.
whatever.
So can I get a motion to approve amending the chair announcements to be put in third person instead of using first person I? First by Representative Doyle, second by Representative Foyos. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Any more amendments? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the amended meeting minutes for March 28th? First by Representative Gregorio, seconded by Representative Shea. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passed. Susan, let's do them individually. We'll get to April 1st meeting minutes. Awkward. Was that it? We did it! Yay! Okay. I now move the floor back to Vice President Costello for the meeting minutes from April 1st and 22nd.
Thank you all for enduring the trauma that I had bestowed upon you.
Ah.
I apologize. But, I mean, here we are, so we'll move forward. And Elections Commission, fortunately, these minutes, have been a lot better because we have the amazing Sonia, who's the best cabinet member ever. No, all our cabinet members are really good. Alex is really great. Both Alexes are really good. Anyway, so these meeting minutes, what we've discussed in elections, this previous meeting minutes are about the SCG elections and the class officer elections, as well as elections for student organizations. That's mostly what we talked about. If you have any questions, let me know.
Deputy Speaker Park.
My name is not Fernanda, Mr. President.
Which one?
April 1st.
Can I get a motion to approve amending the minutes to adding Deputy Speaker Park? First by Representative Victoria, seconded by Representative Campbell. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Can I get a motion to approve the amended meeting minutes? First by Representative Victoria, seconded by Representative Kuchera. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, passed. April 22nd, meeting minutes? Oh, no, you didn't. I get a motion to approve the April 22nd meeting minutes? First by Representative Doyle, seconded by Representative Toya. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passed. We will now move on to old business with Vice President Costello once more, and it's the revision of the mission statement that we talked about last week. 2 meetings ago.
Hi everyone, thanks again for your patience. We'll go right into it. What? I'm awesome. Okay, so I'm going to show you the current mission statement, which is on the screen. The next slide is the proposed changes, and then I'll have them side by side. So if you want to take a moment to read through this one.
It's also in the big packet, one more 2 pages. It's also in the last pages. You can see if the one like there at the screen.
Does everybody have access to it or need it enlarged or anything? Okay. I'm gonna give it like 30 seconds, and then once I see everybody's heads directed back in my direction, we'll go to the next slide. Are there any questions about the current mission statement? This was last revised by Parliament in 2011. So I'm going to go on to the next one. Thoughts, feelings? Echo.
I love it, Frank.
Thank
It's
you.
short and sweet, and it's way better than how long the other one was.
Are we not, are we not, are we just raising hands? No, it's okay.
Sir, do you want to take the board or do you want me to?
No, you can pick up.
Yeah, okay. I'll do Representative Tomedy, Dr. Levis, and then Representative Wales.
What was the rationale for shortening it so much?
So the rationale was that the mission statement, we felt, had too many just irrelevant pieces of information in there that were very constricting of the mission of SCG. Like for instance, you may have noticed that it specifically said we can't do programming, which I thought was just very random. I mean, typically that's true, like we don't really do a lot of programming, but the fact that it's in the mission statement clearly says like you actually cannot do this, we just felt like was irrelevant and just incorrect. And also, I was looking toward to have a mission statement that would be more of like an impactful mission statement of what the organization is and what it reflects. So I looked at some powerful mission statements of like, you know, the school and also other entities like corporations and things like that that looked like they had like strong mission statements, and typically they seem to be shorter because it's more so like almost like an elevator speech. So I wanted this to function as sort of like an elevator speech. So if anybody asks you what SCG is, you could just recite the mission statement. Does that make sense? It also looks nicer on the website.
Dr. Levis.
Frank, I don't know if you did it alone or you did it with other people. I think the work is excellent. I think, you know, typically organizations have mission statements, they have vision statements, and then they have values, right? Your mission statement is what you're known for, what you're uniquely known for. So I think it's terrific. I am a little concerned with the start of the second sentence, because allocating funds, and then you go on to say the reason that you did it, but that's not what you're known for. I think that shows that you're just dispersing money. So my question is, do we have to say that? Can't we say that we empower organizations and initiatives that enhance campus life? So that is a question about whether or not you actually, in the two sentences, the primary role of SCG, I think, is not just dispersing money. Dispersing money, the function is to the empowerment part, but it stands out that that's what you do. So anyways, it's just a comment.
Yeah, that's an excellent comment. I can provide some more context and rationale of why it's in there, but I'm also more than happy to entertain any changes too. Actually, I encourage it. I should say that we did spend a lot of time going back and forth, but that was time that was well spent, and so is time discussing potential changes tonight. So to answer your question, the reason why it's in there and is basically because it goes to the founding of SCG as the 501c3 in 1974, right? And the reason was that at the time we were still just a student senate at Rhode Island College, which is like the advocacy component, but the school was searching for, and someone can correct me if I'm missing pieces, but to my understanding, they were missing an entity that could be like a steward of the student activities fee. So that's when SCG came around and some changes were made structurally with our organization, and then we moved from a Senate to a Parliament. Anyway, I digress, but the point is that the reason why it's there is because even today, at least with Matt and I and like some of my other peers, we kind of see SCG like serving two equally valuable and important pillars in our community. One being that we are the voice of the student body. We do advocate for them. But the other thing as well is that we do fund student organizations because all the student activities fee is handled by SCG. It is a significant responsibility and one that we hold in a very high regard and we take very seriously as being good stewards of the student activities fee. So since those are two pillars and a lot of our work is with student organizations and it is in the Finance Commission and things like that so that we can disperse like several hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So basically every single event on campus gets funded by us.
That's an excellent response.
Yeah, that's
My addendum would be, I wonder if we could just put it at the end. We empower organizations and initiatives that enhance campus life while ensuring student voices are heard, blah, 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 through allocating student funds, or something like that. Just, it's not to replace it. It's just a suggestion.
No, that's a good suggestion. Yeah, I'm open to entertaining ideas like that. I would like to see if anybody else has any thoughts or feelings about a change like that. Because like, and actually, more practically speaking, the reason why it's specifically there is because we wanted to address those two pillars. So we put the mission is like advocating for the students, and then it was kind of an awkward transition, but we did the best we could in that moment, just with the I think 4 of us on the public relations committee, and we came up with saying the next sort of transition is that we allocate student funds. But if anybody else has any suggestions, like Harry or Dr. Levis, Representative Levis said, we could just like move that to the end. What do people think? I'd like to hear from like other people or students. Would it be possible, if it's okay with you, to continue this topic and then once we finish this topic, move on to the next question? Sure. Yeah, is that okay with you, Miguel?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, does anybody like want to discuss this topic?
I know that we spent a lot of time on this, but Dr. Levis brought up a really good point about allocating the funds, because that's not all that we're about, and I actually kind of like the idea of putting the empowering organizations part, where it's in place of allocated funds and just putting that one like at the end or something.
Let me just grab some notes right here.
just quick. I like the change. I think that if a normal student looked at this mission statement, it's more of, I feel like it would look better if we did like allocating funds towards the end, because we do empower organizations outside of just funding too, through like other initiatives and things like that. But I also think that if we add it at the end, it might create a very long sentence that could be split up, or if you have something to add, like, something to add in addition to allocating funds, like, through like, I don't know, support or something like that, that might be a good addition.
So I'm getting the feeling that we might not be ready to pass this tonight, because this is an important topic and I think this deserves more attention. But I'm taking notes, so please continue giving me feedback, and then I'll pass it over to Clarissa. You first. You on her desk. You first.
So I love the proposed changes, but I actually think somehow that last line should be, we manage or direct the student activities fee and allocate, because it's not just student funds, you allocate, you manage and direct the student activities fee. And I think we want to say student activities fee rather than just funds. So maybe it's that last, go with empower organizations, all that, we manage or direct the student activities fee and allocate money to student works.
Okay.
That was what I was gonna say. But, yeah. And I do say the actively for because the allocation where it is, because it is important. And I was gonna say that we should leave the allocation where it is and add the reallocation to that. Because just funds, it just makes it sound a little bit messy. But if you say reallocate student activity fund to empower organization and initiative, because that's exactly what we do. We use the money that we get from that we get to use to make sure we're able to do everything that we can do. I think that was my thoughts. It's a combination of my idea and school's idea is one. We're gonna do Representative Gregorio, Representative Logan, Representative Chatan, and then Representative Pocos.
I agree with what Fatih said, but to Lucas's point, I feel like that sentence, the second sentence is really long. I feel like it could be broken down into two sentences. I don't think we need all that in one sentence.
I don't know that, I mean, do we need to even mention that about funds? Because if we support and empower student organizations, isn't it kind of understood that funds are a part of that?
I will let Fatih.
I can see where, but it's most community government in every, like 90, this is a garbage number, but like 80 to 90% of all student community government across all university are all student voices. They are not like, they're not non-profits that control student activities. So we are special in the way that we have that capabilities, and we should let it be known. That's the answer to, hopefully answer to your question.
Yep, I'm gonna go up at 5%. Also, it's like, for like, as far as that being in our mission statement, it's like, the reason why we are incorporated is because we manage the students. We wouldn't be a nonprofit otherwise, so I can't feel like that should actually not, it should, has to be in the mission statement.
Yeah. I'm gonna do Representative Chatan and then Representative Pocos.
This is more like maybe need to reorganize the sentences a little bit. So I think, this is my opinion, the first sentence, the second part of the first sentence is too that would shorten the second sentence. We have that in the first sentence.
Representative Post, and then, Ozlo, are you still? Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, so like, the stuff from the old mission statement, like, it seems like it has a lot of parts that are, like, important. Like, are those already in the bylaws? Do they already exist elsewhere?
I would say that if it's important, it is. There are lots of stuff in there. We'll go back.
Yeah, go back to the thing.
There are things on here that I'll go back to my previous example. I'm not sure which examples you're referring to. Actually, do you want to point out which examples?
Yeah, but it's, so that it's a central forum for the student body, comprising representatives from the college.
Oh, so like the things of like the makeup of student parliament and stuff?
Yeah, it seems like every sentence has intention, but like if it already exists elsewhere, I understand shortening it.
Yeah, a lot of those things do exist. Like in our bylaws, we have things like, for instance, the makeup of student parliament, things like that. The problem that I have with this, and I think like a lot of you might agree, but like correct me if you don't, but this is like very like too narrow of a focus and too long in details, and I think it's kind of constricting in a way that is just not necessary. Like I'll say the same thing again that I said earlier. The saying that we cannot do events is kind of just like silly. I don't know why that's okay. But that's just one example. A lot of the things that are like very specific would be things like in our bylaws. Things, the mission statement, right? And feel free to like, if you all want to like look up online, like, you know, what is a good mission statement or something like that. Because from what the research we did in the Public Relations Committee, it seems like a good and effective mission statement is more so about like a big picture of what the organization stands for and what we're able to do for our community, and that's what we're trying to capture. Does that like provide any clarity to you? I don't know if I even answered your question. So there you go.
Kind of. It seems like the mission statement, like the things in the mission statement should be something.
Yeah, no, they are. And I'll add that everything that's talking specifically about student parliament is just one aspect of student community government, which is actually made up of lots of things other than just student parliament. The way I like to pitch to students is that SCG is a big, like living, breathing organization that's made up of lots of components, with student parliament being a very key component. Some may say even like the heart of student community government. But we also have all their limbs and all these other things, like all their committees, and then we have students that are on college committees, and we have like lots of different, you know, I mean, I guess that's basically, but it's a lot more than just student parliament, and I think that, in just my opinion, I'm just kind of rambling, but to have our mission statement focus on just one aspect instead of looking at it as a broad and like a whole organization that made up of multiple very important pieces, I just think it's like not the direction that we should go. But yes, these things are covered in other places. The thing that I said about not doing events isn't covered anywhere because frankly I don't think it should, because that's like just doesn't make any sense. Because what if like we have a block party tomorrow? Like we should do the block party. So if we were following our mission statement right now, we would have to cancel the block party.
I'm gonna go on to Representative Tommy.
I just want to say that I kind of agree with Miguel's point. There's definitely some important information here. Like specifically, it explains our relationship with more than the student body, so like our relationship with faculty and the administration. So I like that bit.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just like, I'm wary of the length because when we were trying to write it, we tried to think of like what should be incorporated, what shouldn't be. And as we were talking earlier, like maybe ask you what SED is about, because the goal is that we get to a place where you would. You know, somebody asks you, oh, what's SED? And then you can just recite the mission statement, and then in a nutshell, you just get all of the information that you need. So I'm hoping that with all of your feedback, we can get to that place. But hopefully that like shows where I'm coming from. You know.
Object President Jakes, Treasurer Bobby, and then Representative Byers.
I can say pretty confidently, like, as we talked about earlier, it's not the bylaws, like, pulling it up, I can confidently say that all this stuff is 100% covered in our bylaws. But also, it's like, as Frank was saying, the mission statement, like, what our goal is, it's like, for example, you read the old bylaw. This basically reads like our bylaws. Like, that's what it reads like. It reads like a corporate bylaws. We want our mission statement to be short, simple, sweet, gets to the point, explains what we are, what we're doing for the campus, for our student body, etc. That's what we want to. That's where we want to envision it. But and it's like, and again, if there's some things we should add or take out, or whatever, we can certainly do that. But I don't think that having it the way it currently is viable. But it's like, if there's things we should add, we're definitely more open to getting that done.
Treasurer Bobby?
I think I can see what Miguel and Benjamin said. I lost his name. I think the concern about the first problem that I had not being shown in the mission statement, and I can see an argument for it, but I also know that mission statement isn't supposed to explain how we operate. That's not what the mission statement. That's the bylaw that our policies that explain how we operate. So if you're concerned about if the students would know how we operate, they should know that guidelines. But mission statement should be of like what is our focus, how we operate or what our focus is. And the first paragraph is, and the last paragraph says a little bit of how we should operate as an organization, and that should not be in the mission statement. That's my response.
Representative Byers?
Thank you for the clarification. I didn't know that, but can you make the mission statement like catchy? Because I looked up mission statements and they all have like like you just want to say it out loud. Yeah.
Representative Byers?
I just have one thing to say, is like, if you go on the SCG website, you want the mission statement to be like front and center, and if someone that's not from the college is like, hey, what's SCG? You read that like 3 sentences and you're like, okay, they do this, they do allocate funds and stuff like that. And then you have like an about page that could list some of this information. Hey, we have parliaments, we have committees, we have relationships with the different staff and stuff, so that's all something that can be incorporated, but when someone's initially visiting the page, they're really just wanting to get like a quick explanation of what SCG is, so it's the shorter the better, but while incorporating this information.
President Jakes? Alright, any more discussion?
I'll just say I appreciate everybody's input. I took notes on everything, so I'll be able to get that to Krista in a legible format. And these things are, like I said, they are important. They take time. They shouldn't be rushed. So I'm grateful to have started the process, and I'm happy to pass it on to Clarissa with your recommendations. So thank you, everybody, and I yield the floor.
As amended, we'll move on to Ted Zita's presentation.
Thank you. I'll only take about an hour and a half more time to go through our policies and procedures for alcohol.
You want the mic back?
Sure, I'll take the mic, yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Frank. Yeah, no, I'll be brief, but I do want to spend a little bit of time sharing with you all, expectations. We have one of the greatest events that your organization does put on with the Stogies coming up this week, and the importance of being responsible at that event, and certainly as representatives of SCG, the level as leaders, what's expected of you. So we'll go over this so that we hopefully won't have any incidents, although I do not expect there to be incidents. But it's always good to be prepared and know what's expected and know what to do in case something does happen to come up at this particular event. So please bear with me. But ideally, the whole concept of this is just so that it's a safe and fun event for everybody who's going to be involved. Because we certainly have students who are going to be of age, and some students will be underage, and there will be alcohol at this event, and that's why we're having this conversation. So, legal drinking age in Rhode Island is
21.
correct. That's right. I wish I had prizes to give out. 21 years old. Very good. So, but I think what's really important is that knowing that, but then also if you are underage, to please not put SCG at risk or yourselves at risk by consuming alcohol, being an underage person. So please avoid that. Please do not do that. We expect that you won't do that. But also as equally as important is that people not purchase alcohol for you if you are underage. So please do not seek out, whether that be staff, whether that be other students who are of age, to purchase a drink for you. It's not worth it. And it's against policy, and you're putting this organization as well as the venue at risk. So please refrain from purchasing alcohol for others. Very important. We will be checking identification at the venue. I know we'll also be using bracelets, but please make sure that if you are going to consume, that you do bring and have your IDs with you, whether that be a driver's license, an identification card, a passport, military ID, whatever that is for you. Please have that with you. IDs will be checked by the bartender, even though you will be wearing wristbands. And that's important just to ensure that that's accurate and that the drinks are served only to those people who are 21. So please be aware that we'll want to make sure that that happens and address it if it doesn't. So other piece I want to admit, which I think goes understood, but I don't want to make it perfectly clear with this group and for others, that we not bring in alcohol to this event, right? Even if you are of age, so flasks and different things like that, let's not bring those in, sneak those in and use those, whether you're legal or not. It's also a venue we're going to. They own that bar, they own the liquor license, we cannot bring in our own alcohol, but certainly can understand how people might try to take advantage of that, so please, please refrain from doing that. Questions so far? Yes, Frank?
So this is being communicated with us tonight, but the majority of students attending will be from student organizations. So is there any communication that we need to put out for them, or that you're planning on to have for them?
Yes, yes. So I think what we'll do is notify those people who are invited through some sort of, like, I have notes that I have, and Captain, I can communicate this information out in this way. But I thought it was important as the organizers of the event to certainly address it with you all first and see you as our role model students too. I think highly of our other organizations as well, but I think it's good to start here. But Frank, that's an excellent point, and we certainly will make sure that other students are aware. In an ideal world, this would have happened, I think I was scheduled to present in either December or January, but we had some emergencies pop up that I had to manage. But I think in the future, we'll make sure to get that out there. Great question. Other questions? Okay, so a couple of things. Oh, yes, Tess.
I might be jumping the gun. I know there's a 2-drink maximum. If you already get your 2 drinks and somebody else buys you a drink, is there like a protocol on that, or is it just?
I think you want to let me, anytime there is an issue that's going to arise, this is where I'm going to go shortly, whether you're concerned about a student for over-intoxication or some sort of other behavior, whether it's related to alcohol or not, or you witness someone purchase someone a drink who's underage, or somebody to get an additional drink when you know they've had their 2, let staff know. So I will be there. I imagine Nikita, you'll be there. I know Joan will be there. Cindy will be there. So we've got a whole crew that is going to be available. Again, we're there to have fun with you all too. Please know we're not monitoring. We're not like looking for stuff. That's not our job. Our job is to celebrate a wonderful year and have a great time, but to take care of the safety issues. So the last thing we want, Tess, is someone to overconsume, and you never know what's going to happen. You get behind the wheel of a car, and next thing you know, it's a horrible disaster that none of us want to be talking about, right? Safety and care of others. That's the whole purpose of why we're talking about this today. So a couple of things on top of that. Let's not coerce anybody to drink or force them to drink or put pressure on them to do that and whatnot. So again, SCG in a way are our hosts. They are organizing this event. They are hosting the event. The venue is there as well. So they're accountable for what happens there. So please reinforce responsible behavior, and don't be afraid or shy to come up to me or anyone if you have a concern. I'd rather err on the side of caution, and we take care of a student who needs help and avoid it so that we can avoid an issue. Remember, even though we're an off-campus venue, all of our policies at Rhode Island College are in effect at that venue. So if there's a violation, an unforeseen event would happen, we do have a conduct process that we hope no one has to go through. So, to sum up, any concerning behavior, please report that right away, immediately. Don't wait. Don't think, oh, I'll tell Ted tomorrow. No. Let's do it right in the venue. Let's get it right over to him. And listen, I get emergency calls all the time. It's not a big deal, but I want to take care of you all and make sure you're there. So escalate to staff, and we'll be a lot of folks will be around. I think that's really essentially it. We're going to, again, share this around so the students have this. Any other questions about this event? Yes?
Are they checking backpacks?
Great question. Team, that is a great question. I don't know that we'll be having backpacks, but maybe we will ask to look in person, but we'll address that in between. I will
I just think we
talk.
should tell people ahead.
Yeah, fair.
Let me check the venue on that.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, good question. In my, I've only been to one store, but my understanding is the history of this event has not been an event that has been caused problems, where we have had major issues where we have to do this. The reason we're doing this, I just feel, it makes me feel better, and it also, I think it's important to be very clear and upfront with all of you about what's important and what we see as important. So there's nothing that could be questioned.
Checking backpack is like kind of a little bit crazy, especially as college students.
I didn't suggest it, I was just asking.
Yeah. But you basically, we're not high school students. If someone gets caught with a flash, obviously, you have, what's it called, probable cause to do that, or like going into an event.
I think what we can do is talk with the venue and figure out things. When you go to, I'm not suggesting what we do here, but if anytime you go into any type of event, usually our public, if you're going into a game, you have to have things checked. So, but again, I would not have a history here of that, so I'm not anticipating any problems. And let's be honest, we can put every protocol into place, every rule that we want to. At the end of the day, it's choice, right? I can tell you, oh, you all can't drink. Right now, you can't drink at this meeting. If one of you could open a beer right in front of us, you might not want the consequences of doing that, but the reality is it's choice. So sometimes things may slip through, and that's okay. We're going to get the help and support that's needed for that student and address it if we have to.
Yeah. You see, it just goes to the point of where, like, is this gonna be for all aqua-related out-of-school event that we have to, if, it's just like a scenario, if we have to be concerned about, it goes to like the stretching of backs bit. So if we have to get to the point where we have to stretch back to students, is that gonna be like for every single aqua-related outside school event, or within the school too?
It's a great question. I mean, we haven't made any determination of what we're going to do anyway, but I think in general, we're going to want, if there's an off-campus event that's serving alcohol, we're going to want folks to be aware of what's expected of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But whether or not we're checking bags, I think is a determination we have to make. This particular event, we don't see a lot of backpacks and large events. Most people, I think, would be carrying a small, purse or something of that nature, or bag. Other questions?
Yes, are there two events? Because I got an invite for one for like a student award. I don't know if that's Storgies or if that's something else, because I remember last year there was another event here that actually my husband got nominated for an award at, and that wasn't Storgies, so I'm just a little bit confused.
Great question. We've merged, what I think you might be referring to are the Student Leader Awards, and that has merged with Storgies. So
Okay.
both events are now combined into one. And some of the awards were matched similar awards that SCG gave out, so we consolidated and made some small changes so that we could have a more focused and collaborative event. So great question. But
Okay,
that
I just
particular
wanted to
event
make
is
sure that I was attending the right event.
Yep, you got it. Thanks for that question, Alex. Others? Okay, thank you all very much, appreciate it, I yield.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the new business with SEG Code of Conduct Policy with President James.
Thank you, speakers.
All right, okay.
Alright, so what you guys now have in front of you is the Code of Conduct Policy. This was something I was intending to bring earlier in the year, but there was a lot that came up, so this kind of got delayed until now. But you have the policy in front of you. These are kind of like the general rules. This is like stuff we've done for like years. So, but it's like if you have any questions specifically, feel free to ask.
What is the Code of Conduct?
Code of conduct is to establish clear expectations for the behavior of student committee government members, officers, participants, our representatives, our employees. Make sure that they are held to the high standards of integrity, respect, professionalism. Make sure that that we're following student government policies, we're following college policies.
Sure. I was gonna ask if it would make sense to clarify in the violations that if you're removed from office or membership that it would be without pay.
Yes, that would be it. We can do that.
Make an amendment to this to add that you would be removed or suspended without pay.
Yeah, that would be under 1.04, right? 04.
Vice President Casella.
My question on that is like, so there's I noticed that there's an acknowledgement in this policy. My understanding is that all members of student community government would have to acknowledge this. That's the first part of my question.
Yes.
Okay. So the second part is when would that happen? Would that be during their onboarding towards joining SED?
Yeah, so when you do, so you know how you guys get those nice purple folders with all the, like, oh, your W-9, your parliamentary introduction, your, all the other forms you have to do, this would be included in that form. Like in that series of forms.
Any other discussion on the code of conduct? Representative Gregory.
Could you clarify part E about avoid conflicts of interest and like when that would be important and how you would determine whether or not somebody made a decision in the best interest of the student body and not for personal gain?
Absolutely. So, for example, like many of you might not know because we kind of, but it's like the second. So with conflict, all right. So the secretary is in charge of keeping the conflict of interest like forms. That's one of the other forms that Parliament members are required to do. This semester it's been a little bit hectic, but that's something that's going to be going back to next semester, where it's like everyone fills out their conflict of interest. Basically, it's like if you're part of the student organization, you fill that out because it's like, let's say if you're on any committee or department and your organization's being voted on, you cannot vote on that because that's an example of a massive conflict of interest. Like for example, if your club's going to finance and you're a member of the finance commission, it would be a conflict of interest for you to vote on what's on your board receiving funding or not. That's one example of that. And what was the second part of your question?
It was about the second part of the decisions that we made in the best interest of the student body, not for personal gain or alliances. So what would that be?
Yeah, what that would be is simply, it's like, for example, if you're in a student organization, that's basically the student organization part, which we can kind of amend and clarify.
So, please do my mic. It literally my mic is. So I think what we're going for the second part of it is to make sure that every decision is as objective as possible. That's the entire point of the section of E. as humans, we're subjective, so we're trying to make every, should we make empowerment be as objective as possible so it can, what's the word? It can have as much effect in a good way as possible, and we might not know any personal conflict of interest, but one big one is student orgs, and because we are students and we are in multiple different organizations, and we want to make sure that when we're making decisions in here, it doesn't bring in your loyalty to other groups or whatever. It's just plainly what is being discussed and the best way, objectively, logically, to make sure we make the right decisions.
Okay, now that I have the Donna and my back. So I heard that Treasurer Robbie said that this is in the pursuit of being of having objectivity. I'm not opposed to a policy of this sort, but I think it's a really delicate type of document. And as far as the objectivity goes, I see a lot of things in here that's seem very subjective to me. Like what exactly is professionalism? Like I know it tries to say includes being functional, and et cetera. That makes sense to me. But when you have students that are enforcing such a policy, my concern could be that they may not have so much ground to stand on when it comes to enforcing punishments on other of their peers that may not be upholding certain aspects of this, which may be considered subjective. So I'm not against it. I kind of was looking to see if there's some reassurance from either President Jakes or Treasurer Wabi about how there could be some expectation of future SCG officers and like how they may go about enforcing this policy when a lot of this seems to be very subjective and a very like delicate, sensitive topic. Do you want to address that or do you want
So what I would add to that is that pretty much everything in this policy is what we already do. Quite a bit of it was in our bylaws at one point, however we took that out because simply this type of thing does not belong in our corporation bylaws. I will say, as far as I do understand your concerns with the subjectivity, like when you brought that up, because I honestly didn't think of that. However, when we talk about what are we enforcing, it's like, are you showing up to meetings? Are you doing the work that you need to do? Are you on time? Are you not breaking college or breaking college policy? Are you following the conflict of interest? Are you respecting confidentiality? Are you being respectful to others? That's kind of things, that is what we're talking about.
Sorry. So I think Frank was talking more about people that's going to enforce the rules, right? I'm not the rules itself.
It is both.
Yeah, so Matthew talked about the rules. I'm going to talk about people that are going to enforce the rules. So the idea is if there's a violation, you as a board member can tell us as an Eagle member about when someone violates something, even though we don't see it. And if the Eagle members, if at that particular point decide not to go to it and you're like, that's unfair, you can go to our advisor. Hopefully that's there for the next couple of years. But it's like there are stages where you can go where you feel comfortable enough to be sure that someone will enforce the code of conduct. It is a policy, and anyone who goes against the policy, you can use that, the site policy against them if they is violated. And if the people enforcing the rules do not do anything, you can always go to an advisor, and that should work in most cases.
I'll bring President Gregorio and then I'll do Vice President Stella.
I was just going to say, so really quickly, so is it Parliament that would be determining these things or no? The violations of this policy?
So with this specifically, is under the, there's two positions on the executive team that cover this. It is the SEG speaker and the bylaws adjudication commission, or it is the SEG president that would handle that.
Okay, and what would we consider sufficient evidence to have violated the policy? And how do you determine if somebody didn't violate the policy?
So, for example, to be as blatant as possible, punctuality is when it's like comes in an hour late without giving leaves. That's like a clear cut of like you have to sit down with the person, send an email, then follow the steps that we have. Or another one is where we have for example, during a budget hearing, every finance member signed a confidentiality contract, and without being told to tell everyone, they told someone. That is a clear cut. As long as you have evidence that the person did say something. But as long as you have the evidence, and the evidence goes against the conduct, you should have enough to objectively say, like, this is what you did, this is the steps, and whatever, and we have steps we have steps to protect the person also, so you don't go from a verbal warning to like a referral to student conduct. No, you have to go through the steps that is on section 104, sorry, 1.04 to go through. So that's the idea of it. It's subjective in the way where you have to decide if the evidence is enough. But if there's evidence that conduct is being validated, you should follow the code of conduct in that situation. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in more clear-cut situations, I would expect it to be a more clear-cut answer.
Yeah.
But I'm obviously addressing something more vague, like if somebody were, so for example, under treating others with respect, if somebody claims that somebody else didn't treat them with respect in a certain way, but neither is evidence, how would you just say it's not enough evidence and then move on?
No, in that situation, it's just, I would, in my thinking, would like have both of them sit down together and like discuss it. And if it's something that is more than that, you could always ask for help and ask for a way to deal with it. But in that situation, what I would do is just have a discussion. And if it's something that we don't see and they somehow see, and we just like, yeah, I think first I'll do is have a discussion, then I'll find a way to make sure I understand where they're both coming from. Because that's like a really serious issue. Yeah.
Vice President Caswell and President Davis.
So thanks for answering these questions. I want to say that my questions come more so from like seeking clarity rather than criticizing. So having said that, I think my next question would be that like are there gaps that exist right now that we're hoping to fill with the passing of this policy? That's basically.
President Davis.
So what we're doing, the reason why we put this policy forward is because, again, like, these are like rules, expectations that we have had, like, for the most part. Those are a couple things I added in, like, as far as the event. The only thing that's different is the event conduct standards. Other than this is stuff that has come from our bylaws. And for our employees as well. Actually, I'm sorry, it was that and for employees only. Those are the two sections we added. Everything else is already there in our bylaws, but the thing is with it being in our bylaws, it's like, this isn't the type of stuff you would have in bylaws, corporate bylaws, you have it in policy. Like, for example, we had other stuff, other committees where it's like, we had things that did not belong in our bylaws, so we transferred it over to our policies. So we didn't have a specific policy for this, so this solution was creating a policy for it. Yeah,
And the reason why it's not in bylaws is so much harder to change. And it's so much, because if you change something in bylaws, you have to make sure it doesn't go against a whole bunch of other things. So that's why it's so hard to change something in bylaws. But when you have policies are easier to change. So policies are easier to change in terms of where it just goes through committee, then it goes to parliament. So that's why we made it policies that would be in the bylaws. But this, like Matthew said, this is something that we felt like we should have in writing, instead of just like, this is what we think everyone should uphold. So we have it in writing, so we know it's our policy.
I just think it's a really good idea. I do. I think it's a really good idea. I think the hang up is on the violation section, and so maybe there could be some review of that section and what the enforcement responsibilities are of the members of the E-board. But I think, in general, most of these things are what the expectations are of all of us sitting around the table. And I think putting them out there for everyone is really important and thoughtful. But I do think that violation section maybe could use some more articulation around.
What exactly, what would you recommend? Because so the way I thought about it, or I see the violation is the first thing you do when you get someone that's violated code of conduct is to send them a written email or whatever letter. Then if they do it again, you suspend them, and they do it again, you remove them. And if they do something, and that should be the end of it. But it depends on like, if it depends on the what's the word? On how, on what they did. Yeah, the severity of what they did. So if the severity is within our capability of as being an SCD member, we'll go through the first 3 steps. But if something that is within our capabilities, we'll go straight to the dean of students. So I think I don't know what else like had to make the evaluation better. What would you recommend?
So I actually think it should be more general than specific. And that gives the E-board some flexibility. I mean, that's just my own, and I also think it'd be worthwhile looking at the general RIC student code of conduct in relationship, and how things work in relationship to this. But I think by being this specific, it actually raises the question that Dante raised, which is, how do you actually put this into practice? And it could be really difficult. And so that's the only thing. And I think the work here is really good. I just think that section could use some rethought. That's it.
Daddy, put that in notes. She's talking to me, basically.
So, can I get a motion to table this, to amend the violation part to next meeting?
Oh, there's no last meeting, this is grass the house now, or it doesn't.
So,
This is it's gonna be basically like next year, that's why I said chapters right notes.
So can I make a suggestion? Like, if the violations are the only issue, this is kind of my suggestion. We pass it now, and then the next year's executive council has the opportunity to make amendments and bring it back at one of our own meetings early in the semester.
someone want to make a motion to pass this, or do you want to?
I think when we open for discussion,
Yeah.
we want to pass it.
Rosa Chatayan? Yeah. So then, would like to make a motion to pass it, bring it by Representative Chatayan? Can I get a second motion to approve? Seconded by President James. All in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Can we show our hands?
Yeah.
All in favor? With hands. Any opposed? Oh, sorry, what, 2? It was Madison here, and then the opposition is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then any abstain? So it was 2, I was looking at the rest of it, 9, 1. So it's not passed.
Is there going to be discussion, or are we just moving on?
I think we should move on. Okay, we'll move on to the stipend policy now.
Actually, no.
next is the stipend policy. I've been saying this all semester. Now it's passed in my committee, and I'm gonna go through exactly what we changed. The only thing we changed was the payment for the e-board members, and the cabinet members. And we raised the money for the non-parliament members in committees. So non-parliament members without non-parliament, like in different committees, we raised their money from $20 to $30 due to inflation and stuff like that. And we raised the bylaws from $20 to $25, and we left the conditions and services as conditions, services, election commission, PEC, and student activity committee as $20 per meeting. So we changed the president from $5,200 to $5,250 a year, the vice president from $4,200 to $4,250 a year, the secretary from $3,360
Yes.
to $3,750 a year. I don't even remember that. The treasurer from $4,700 a year to $4,750 a year. The speaker from $2,100 a year to $2,500 a year. The deputy speaker from $1,700 a year to $2,000 a year. Then all cabinet speakers from $1,660 per year, $2,000. These deputy speakers from $1,072 a year to $1,200 a year. And the reason why we improved the speaker and deputy speaker was the fact that we, for the last 2 years, have increased the responsibility for the speaker and deputy speaker. So they are doing a lot more than just being the parliamentary designee. They are doing a lot more with the e-board, having a lot more contribution, a lot more say in what we do as an organization, so they should get the monetary benefits for that. And the cabinet position has been increased also because they do a lot more, and we decided to give them the monetary value for doing a lot more. The president, vice president, treasurer, speaker, the 4 e-board members, president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer got increased because we wanted more uniform meeting I would get paid, and also we also wanted more contribution for what we do as an officer, because we do a lot. I'm not done yet. And we increased the non-parliament member for finance. We went from $25 per meeting to $30 per meeting because finance, we do a lot. We are expected to meet approximately 20 meetings in a year. That's bigger than any other committee on SEG. And we, as non-parliament student members, they are also expected to be as objective as possible, and also we do a lot more work as a finance member. We also increased the bylaws, the SOC and PR committee from $20 to $25, like yourself. We did this because they also do a lot, I've been told. And the constitutional services and election and PEC as student committee was stayed the same, and everything else wasn't changed. And we, as a committee, decided to add a caveat that if this gets passed, this type of policy wouldn't change for the next 5 years. It wouldn't be changed for the next 5 years. That's the caveat. Like the monetary wouldn't be changed. The policy can be changed, but the monetary value of like the people like I don't think get paid much not change.
I just had a quick question that any of us will need to abstain from any of these votes, like if to vote on the deputy speaker, like incoming elected members will need to abstain.
For this, we're not voting on today.
Oh, never mind.
No, we're voting on this policy.
I don't think you have to abstain.
Okay.
non-following members should be paid the same. I don't see why some are valued more, like the time of those students are valued more than the time of other students. So can you, I would like clarity on it, and I would also go as far as to like maybe make a motion to change that.
Yeah, that's okay. The heart behind it was the fact that one is election commission. There's no other way to say it that wouldn't sound suspicious, I'll just say it. We didn't value election commission as much as we value bylaws, even though they have the same amount of time that they meet. And SOC meets more times than every other commission combined, so it goes, finance and SOC meets the more of the time. And public relation, we wanted to, the vision that we saw for public relation committee was something that we assumed would have more to say. And the election commission, like I said, and also the conditioning services committee, also the same idea of like, how do I say this?
I think that I understand. I understand your rationale. It looks like Matt wants to add more, but from what I've heard so far, I disagree, and I'm gonna make a motion to increase all of them to 25.
Yeah, that's.
Except finance commission.
Yeah, you can do that, but that's the way we thought about it.
Yeah, that
And
makes sense.
yeah.
I think it's really, and,
I was saying you made a motion to,
yeah,
and
can
Matt
we do
seconded
the
it.
discussion before the motion?
Sure.
Yeah, so the reason why, I'm making this motion is because I think it's really dependent on the students on those committees, and I think it's unfair to like just assume that they're gonna do any work that's less valuable.
No, that wasn't it. We read the what the communities did, and we did it. It wasn't
Okay,
that much.
sorry. Thank you for the clarity. I still don't think that changed my opinion because, basically, I think that every committee has the potential to be really good and really impactful or not impactful. So I think that everybody should be, especially because each one needs a different amount of time. So one committee needs a lot because they're working a lot, then they get paid more. And if a committee needs less, then they would get less. But I think the rate should be the same, you know what I mean? So that's, I guess, what I would say. I don't know if Speaker Salem would like to entertain a discussion.
I was going to say, anybody want to discuss the motion of increasing the all committees to be paying being paid $25 a meeting, like, for discussion, everybody was about that. President James?
Yep, I'll jump in here. So for context, so that was based off of like what these responsibilities. I'll be honest, when we were discussing the finance, I don't feel like, I personally felt that all of them should get paid the same, and therefore I am going to back Frank's motion for making all the same, other than finance being paid out of
Because what the communities.
Dr. Levis?
Do you want to just talk about this and not anything other part of it?
Just this part.
Okay.
Just this right here.
I'll wait.
Is there any more discussion on the, raising the price to $25 a meeting? Any more discussion? Okay.
Can I restate my motion? Okay, so the motion on the floor is that the finance commission, non-parliament members would remain at $30 per meeting, but all other SED non-parliament committee members would be raised $25.
Can I get a motion?
So I will first my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Speaker Sullivan.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All
Any opposed?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So I can't hear anybody? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So if you abstain, can you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 abstained. Who opposed? And who approved? 1, 2, 3, 4. abstentions? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5 abstains.
Okay, before we continue, I forgot that we made one last change.
Sorry, just for clarification, any abstentions go to the prevailing side, so that would be a pass.
Yes, thank you.
Uh,
Yes,
Yes,
motion passed.
the motion is passed. I just want to add, we added 3 points, the next page, we added 3.118. It says that non-parliament cabinet members will be paid $10 per committee for any corporation committee that the individual is not required to be on.
Wait, I can explain.
So, wait, it was written the wrong, it was written the wrong way. It says that they get paid $10 per committee, but they actually get paid $10 for like a flat fee if they enter a committee that it's not theirs, right guys? Right, Commissioner? Yeah. So this is, the 3.118 was written wrong here. They don't get $10 per committee. That's a lot of money. They get $10 if they decide to enter another committee that is not their responsibility. For example, a comptroller that decides to be in the election commission gets a $10 flat fee, regardless of how many other committee that they decide to go to. So if they get paid $140 a month, they will get paid $150 a month because they are in the election commission, SOC, and other committee. That's not finance commission. This is only for non-parliament. This doesn't apply to the school staff. Yes. Yeah, in the event that there is one. But if they're part of parliament, that doesn't apply to them.
President, explain what it was.
So, but yeah, it is $10 per month for the cabinet members, if that is the case. In those certain situations, like for example, our comptroller will, he is not on parliament because he's in class this time. However, he's our comptroller. So he does finance, but he also volunteers his time for student organizations committee, elections commission. So it's like, so for us to not give him anything would be unfair because it's really specific for being comptroller for finance. So it's like giving a little bit of monetary, but that also has applied to other cases as well.
Are we hoping to vote, are you hoping to vote on this tonight? Okay, I'm just looking around the table and seeing how tired people are. But I have 2 comments on that. Does this mean that that the salaries have not been raised since September 2023? Because that was the last time that it was approved by Parliament?
So that was one of my biggest contention. That's why I added the five years caveat to the, because it was changed last year by me. And this, we had this discussion last year also. And the biggest contention of raising the extra e-board one was a big contention for my committee. It took a lot from Matthew to raise that, to make us comfortable to say yes. It did the math and everything. It's okay on the financial side. But that's why I said, my commission said, if this gets approved, we would want to find a caveat along with it.
So, I mean, a couple of things. Cindy just said that we should have the total dollars. But what I want to know is, coming from a person who does public budgeting and teaches public budgeting, there should be a relationship about how, I'm all for paying, I want to pay students more than this, but it should be tied to something. There should be a cost of living increase, or it should be, maybe it's tied to, as college tuition goes up, we also pay, we pay our SCG student reps more. But there should be some formula in which that we're evaluating how much we are paying people for their service and their work. And I actually really disagree with waiting 5 years. 5 years is a very long time. We're in the midst of major potential cost of increase with tariffs and other things. So I think that is actually, it'll end up strap holding SCG to put 5 years. But I do think there should be some formula in which that there gets increases and there should be some time period, set time period for the reevaluation of these things. Every other year, every 18 months, whatever it is, but that should be established as part of this.
So,
I'm gonna have us both push it up first, and then I'll do President Jason, and then I can.
no, I was answering the
Okay.
next question. So the caveat that we had was, first of all, is one is inflation, and two is there's an increased time that we as EPOD members were in the office, and the idea of the time that takes away from going to jobs, that kind of takes away of getting more money in like an actual job, and with the cost of inflation, and with the fact that I increased it last year by a small percentage, and we felt like that wasn't enough. That was the caveat of what pushed my committee to say yes to the increase. And now that I'm saying it out loud, the 5 years seems like a lot. So I would say I would amend it to like reduce the years, like Dr. Levis says. But the increase didn't come from like we wanted to increase. It came from the fact that there is so much work that goes with this, and there is so much things that goes with this, and with the fact that we take time from other responsibilities. And
Yeah, totally. But I don't know, I mean, listen, you could be paying, everyone could be paid $7,500 a year, and that would be good by me if we could afford it, and if we were able to justify it, and there being an understanding of how that gets evaluated more regularly. So my comments were not about the fact that questioning whether or not this is sufficient, but there should be a process in which that we actually evaluate it, and it should be tied to some type of formula.
I'm gonna say we should table this. I think we are not gonna be able to get this figured out tonight. Can I get a motion to approve tabling this? First by Representative Doyle, seconded by Representative Logan.
So,
Aye. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passed. All right, we'll now move on to the open cabinet positions. Okay, very much. We'll move on to the administrative update. Mrs. Nichols?
First off, I want to congratulate Matt and Frank. If you were not at Cap and Gown Convocation today, they both received Outstanding Student Leader Awards. And, you know, they both talked in their comments about how much they learned and grown from student community government. But we as a college are very fortunate for the leadership that they have brought forward. And I'm very proud of the two of them and everything they've done, and to see them recognized today was great. I also want to thank each and every one of you. SCG has had a wonderful year. It's been a tough year. There's been lots of changes going on, lots of different things, and you have increased in size again. You have really committed to discussions on deep issues, and I know tonight there's been a lot of important issues, and the discussion, and sometimes some people don't agree with what goes on, et cetera, or tabling, but these are big issues, and I look at the budget discussion, and I think that the student body deserves to know what's the total exposure if every committee was filled, everything, and what percentage of your budget is that? And I would agree that we should be looking annually at rates. Because if you're in a job, every year people look at benchmarks and salaries, and the world is changing, and we shouldn't tie you in for 5 years or 3 years. And I think that, you know, we passed on, elected the next group of student leaders. It's their job to take these few things tonight that have gotten passed on and move forward with them. And then I also want to wish you all the best as you finish up the semester, as you go into finals, and then for those of you who are graduating, as you move on to the next step of your career. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all you do. And for the new group, I think you can take these next issues on and get them resolved.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the faculty update. Dr. Levis.
Thank you all. This is from both myself and Dr. Marcotte. I also want to give a shout out to Fatia, especially today, how bravely she corrected the appropriate pronunciation of their names. It's a very important thing. Our names are really important. They embody who we are, and we should be able to expect that other people are pronouncing them correctly. So that was an amazing, and also Fatia got a very special award from the philosophy department. I also want to acknowledge that there are at least 4 people sitting around the table tonight who ran for cabinet positions and really put themselves out there 1 week ago and continue to show up tonight and sit around the table, and that is not an easy thing to do. And several of those people were extraordinary in their presentations, and I just really want to give that shout out. It's not easy to run for something and not to actually win, and to still show up to want to be a leader in FCG is a really extraordinary thing. Okay, so I just wanted to give those thanks. For the departing seniors, my recommendation, and you don't have to take it, but when you leave a job, usually you do something called an exit interview. An exit interview either happens with your supervisor and/or sometimes it happens with the human resource department. It would be helpful for those that are coming in your leadership roles for you to do an exit interview, which means it could be a time that you give feedback about not only the things you learned, but the things that you wished you had done differently, the things that you'd wish that, in fact, SCG did differently. I told Frank that after coming last week's nominations, there are a couple things as a faculty member that I would have liked to see done differently. And that's just me. But you have experts who have spent 3 and 4 years, and having them give feedback about what could be improved in SCG is a real learning opportunity. You don't have to do it, but it's considered an exit interview. Okay, so we'll talk about the big elephant in the room. In the last 2 weeks, the provost has issued their productivity and efficiency reports. There were many things that came from that, including a group of very brave students that went to the Office of Post-Secondary Ed's meeting, as a council, the Office of Post-Secondary Council meeting that happened about 2 weeks ago, where students really voiced their concerns about the suspensions of 20 majors. Those students should really be celebrated for their work, especially Ronan, who gave an outstanding speech. If you didn't hear it, it's worth listening to. The things that have happened since then, some of you may or may not know, is that those programs, including my program, which is the public administration major, was one of the 62 that was evaluated. It's not slated for suspension or consolidation. It's slated for additional review. We have an opportunity to make an appointment with the provost where we're actually able to give feedback on wrongful information that is in the report. So most department chairs or directors of majors are now meeting, all 62 or meeting with the provost or have an opportunity of meeting with the provost. So I wanted you all to know that. In addition, last week the Save Our Majors group had a protest in front of the State House, and yesterday Representative Karen Alzate, who is the representative of Central Falls and Pawtucket, held a press conference about specifically looking at some of the changes in the multi-language learning programs and suspensions of the Portuguese program. Dante and Ben were at that press conference and spoke to Rep. Alzate. That is all to say, this is not done. In addition, I will say that a number of faculty members gave props to SCG for their Instagram posts about their learnings, speaking to department chairs and faculty members and the provost, and I think that whoever did that, it was a really good way in which to get information out to students and faculty. It's going to be a long road, and I think the risk is that in 2 weeks, the students are gone. And so that means the attention on this is also gone. And the question is, what's going to happen over the summer? So I would ask the e-board to maybe have a plan of how you are going to be engaged in this process over the summer months as things continue to roll out. And they'll roll out through the provost and the president's office, and they'll roll out through council. But I think it's an opportunity for SCG to continue the momentum of being engaged. The last thing, which is more uplifting, is that many people may or may not know that in addition to being an assistant professor in the political science department and directing the public administration major, I also direct the Washington Week Congressional Internship Program. There are a number of people around the table that applied, and we had finalist interviews this week, and tomorrow we will be announcing the 6 students who will go to the 4 congressional offices in Washington, D.C. during the weeks of May 19th and June 2nd. It is a really small program that the student community government has supported financially and also in a collaborative, programmatic way for the years that I've been here, but it's a really impactful program, and I hope that SCG continues to feel good about their involvement. And Frank and Matt have been heavily involved, and I just want to give some real props and thanks to Frank, who was significantly involved in the review of all of the 32 applications this year, and also helping to lead the finalist interviews. So, thank you.
So on that topic, I did just want to say, although students may be leaving campus, we are not losing the issue. The newspaper we met today, we will be covering throughout the summer. I've offered to post all the immediate articles as they are found. And Ronan is meeting with people. So keep your eyes out for our newspaper, please.
Now move on to the staff update with Ms. Daniel Rosa.
Hi everyone, I know I'm still pretty new here and I still have yet to meet all of you one-on-one, and so first I just want to say thank you so much for nominating me and accepting me to be your staff representative. It is a great honor and I'm really excited to next academic year and getting to know more of the lay of the land and supporting you all. So for now, the only update I would like to share is that the Rick Stoll celebration is happening on Tuesday, May 13th, and we have around 130 graduates registered, which is amazing. And they're going to be receiving Stolls of many different types: cultural heritage, veteran status, first generation college student status, and many others. So I hope that some of you, even if you're not graduating, that maybe you're still able to go and support your fellow graduating peers. I think it's going to be a really special celebration.
Move on to Superintendent's updates.
Thank you. I wanted to, Rick as well had a couple flyers here to, if you're interested or want to share this with your friends to pick up. I'll leave them right here as QR codes. Great new group that, if you're interested, you do that. I'll just congratulate you all on a fantastic year. Hard to believe that we are where we are. It happened so quick, and it's been a wonderful year and a challenging year in many aspects. To our graduates, congratulations. Wish you nothing but the best. And as your advisor, Frank, Fatia, and Matthew, were among the first students I got to work with, here. So always have a special place remembering you all for all your hard work and continued success. So wish you all the best. And don't be too a stranger here to certainly to SCG and to Rick as alum. So I'll leave it there and just finish out strong, everyone. We've got a couple more weeks to go. Let's finish up strong.
I give my gavel to appointments of vacancies to representatives.
Yep, thank you, Speaker Sullivan. Just take the paper. All right, a couple simple ones. Last week, I in turn appointed and making official Fatima's appointment to the Elections Commission and appointing as the Crowds Science Commission. There are no resignations or vacancies. Can I get a motion to approve those? First by Representative Doyle, second by Representative Khan. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Passed.
Move on to issues of Parliament members. Representative Roy.
I would just like to really quickly to say the block party is tomorrow at 4. We need people to help out. So if anyone is available at 3 tomorrow or any point from 3 to 8, we just need people to help out with vendors. Just there'll be food there. It'll be fun. Oh yeah, we'll also need people for 2 o'clock for one of the vendors. But I do have some people there for that. So yeah, so we'll just need people. Come talk to me if you can do that.
Representative Boyce.
At the end of every semester, my class officers and I
Here.
Here. Here.
Did they pay you to be?
I mean, I get a salary.
No, different.